If you've ever wanted to play a game where people are getting drilled left and right, and no, that isn't a dirty reference, guys. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to go head to head against a Big Daddy, also not a dirty reference, guys. That's literally what the main enemy is called in the video game. And yes, we will be talking Bioshock. It's been quite some time since we last visited with Elizabeth, since we last got a taste of the Bioshock universe. But today we're going to be talking about the top 5 things we want to see from the Bioshock franchise moving forward, and this is assuming obviously that there is a sequel in the works. Let me know in the comment section what top 5 things you would like to see, or just your favorite feature that you would like to see integrated into the potential newest sequel for the Bioshock franchise. The rumors have been rampant. We don't actually have anything solid to base ourselves on, but that hasn't stopped the community. There are people out there that think that there's going to be a Bioshock universe or a Bioshock video game that takes place in space. There are others that would like to see something in the Arctic somewhere, but as I mentioned, all of that is pure speculation. We don't have any confirmation. We don't have any news really to disperse at this moment. This is purely speculative. Let me know, as I mentioned, what you guys would like to see. Let's start off with number 5, which is pretty straightforward. I would love to see more variation in enemy types. From what I recall, the original Bioshock only had a handful of them. You obviously had the Big Daddy, which was probably the strongest enemy type out there. You also had the Splicers. You had the Little Sisters, which I guess it depended on how you played the story, would be an enemy. And then obviously you had some of the security bots that were flying around. But that was it. There wasn't much more to it, and I think it really fell short in that department. And even though there was a certain amount of variation within the Splicers, they had different combat techniques, and they also had, different abilities, but I still felt like there could have been more variation. Maybe give us, other enemy types or other, groups or entities to have to fight and beat down, and there just wasn't enough of that in the Bioshock universe, especially towards the end of the video game where, you were able to get into a Big Daddy suit and you were able to, have all of these different abilities or powers thanks to the plasmids that were readily available to you towards the end of the video game. However, you just don't get enough opportunity to, thoroughly flesh out all of those plasmids. For number 4, it's not really a critique of the original one. It's more of emphasizing one of its strengths, which was the fact that the video game franchise as a whole for Bioshock has had a fantastic array of villains, or some of the main villains, primarily with Bioshock number 1, where you had Fontaine basically manipulating you the entire game. The ending was absolutely superb, but it was mostly because of the 3-dimensional villain aesthetic that you got throughout the game. They weren't just linear characters. There was definitely more substance to them, which made them even more fascinating. For number 3, we're going to go with more beautiful environments, and that's something that, like I said, has been consistent throughout the Bioshock franchise thus far. Even going back to the original, obviously you're underwater, so you would think it would be kind of just like a submarine style aesthetic where everything is just halls and control rooms, but that is definitely not what you get from the original. There were areas that looked like dining halls. There were others that looked like casino areas. There were even other little sections of the map that had, a lot of green, a lot of lush plant life. And then eventually in Bioshock 2, you actually got to explore a little bit outside of the biome, or outside of Rapture. You could actually explore the ocean life a little bit. So we're all hoping that we can get something similar to that in the next installment of Bioshock, even though it's going to be obviously set in one particular place, but we would definitely love that type of variation. For number 2, it's again nothing new, but just I would love to see the same formula for whatever we get in the new Bioshock. But I really love the alternate endings for the video game. I know a lot of people don't like it. They would love the game to commit to a specific ending, but personally, I really enjoy it. It makes your decisions throughout the game, more significant. It makes them have more weight, more value in the grand scheme of things. And it really makes you think and measure every single action that you take, because they overall will have consequences later in the game or at the end of the game. We obviously see this play out significantly more in the first two Bioshock video games, whereas, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, Infinite had a pretty definite ending, but I remember Bioshock, the original one, having an ending that basically depended a lot on your choices in regards to the little sisters and whether you decided to harvest them or not. So like I said, I would love for every single action or every single choice within the game or at the beginning of the game towards the middle part to have real consequences on, the ending of the actual game. As I mentioned, I know this isn't something that everybody enjoyed or something that everybody felt like the game needed, but I personally did thoroughly love this feature. For the top spot, it's not really that big of a feature per se, but I did really love the fact that every single Bioshock is connected somehow, some way. If you guys have played Burial at Sea, you will see Elizabeth, somehow visit Rapture. The ending is an absolute gut punch, and I really do wish I had never played it, and I think most people will. Even a hardcore badass like myself had to fight back tears, punch my own tear glands just to make sure that they wouldn't secrete any liquid. So I suppose there will be gamers out there that do not wish every single game to be connected, because it seems like the downfall to this is that some of the main characters actually end up getting killed. But as I mentioned before, I would love to see something like this, something where somehow, some way they're able to connect every single Bioshock video game, even if that means we get complete tearjerker endings like we did with Burial at Sea. Anyways, guys, that is our top 5 list for today. I kind of put this together on a whim, not really expecting too much to come to mind, but these are my top 5 features or top 5 aspects that I would love to see for the Bioshock universe moving forward. Let me know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm very curious to see. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.